Yo, what's up guys, welcome back to another video. This is a reaction to positives about living in the States, UK versus USA. I'm really enjoying doing these videos of perspectives of people who have either just moved to the US, have lived in the US maybe for a year or two and just basically still in the process of not being fully, I guess, used to the life and the day-to-day sort of differences. But it's just cool to see people sharing their experiences, and I guess for me just to see how different it really is. And I'm assuming she's from the UK. I'm going to just say England, but she's from the UK, which is quite rare for these sort of comparisons. I can fully relate to someone who has lived in the UK, I guess, all their life and then moved to the US and is now experiencing these things. But we're going to check this out, hopefully going to enjoy. And yeah, let's jump into this reaction.
I have moved from the UK to the US. Here are 5 positives I found so far. Also, I made a video pretty similar to this recently, so go check that one out after this one and tell me what you think. Okay, the first is the weather. In England, the weather is rainy, grey and miserable. Pretty much like night.
Not all the time. Actually, I'm saying this. This is the first time it's rained in probably 3-4 weeks in the UK. So I'm saying this on the wrong day. But recently it's been quite nice. But no, I'll hold my hands up. She's not really wrong. Like in general, the UK is pretty dull. And you get about 1.5 months where it's just nice. About 3 weeks where it's too hot for me in the houses that I live in, and then for the rest of the time it's just depressing old grey skies with a bit of wind sometimes or rain. So yeah, she's right. But it depends where you live in the US as well. I mean, it's such a diverse country in terms of the weather. You can be in Florida one minute, it's the hottest place in the world. Not actually, but up there it's like it's hot as hell. And then the next minute there's tornadoes and storms ripping through the state. But then you go to other parts of the country and it's, I mean, I feel like in terms of weather, the Seattle region is probably the most similar to the UK. I've heard that it's quite rainy there a lot of the time.
98% of the time. A lot of time people will argue with me and say that it is sunny and like nice weather in England. I don't know if you were living in a different England to me, but I never really experienced that. Obviously like occasional weekends, or maybe if you're lucky like a week or two of nice weather in the year, but it's very unpredictable and very unlikely. And the weather here is really nice. It's not sunny all the time, like you might not be able to tell, but right now it's cloudy. But a lot of the time it is sunny, and even on a cloudy day like this, it's still a lot more bright and like...
I want to know where she lives. Not like the flipping full location. I just want to know the city. It doesn't say. Because it depends. I mean, I know the US in general is a lot hotter during the summer months, but I just don't know where she's saying this from.
Like not grey outside. I think with the weather being nicer, I've noticed many benefits that I didn't really think I would. I feel more energized, I feel more happy, I feel more like ready for the day, more positive even though that sounds kind of cringy, but it is true. It does make an effect on like your mental well-being and health. I genuinely do feel a lot better with the weather like this. Next is people are a lot friendlier. I'm not saying people are horrible.
The amount of times I hear this, and then I see people like, I've seen like reactions that I've done really recently. I think it was actually yesterday where I done a reaction to students sharing their opinions or like their culture shocks, and someone was saying about how small talk, and she thinks it's like meaningless and stuff, where in reality that stuff can just help people. The smallest little things can help people, like conversations and just compliments or just sort of pick me up sort of like conversations. But the student that was saying that was like, it's not, I don't think she said it was pointless. It was just like, it was empty kind of thing, which is like, come on. If you're not used to it, then fair enough. But you can't really just say it's empty. Like, there's still human beings saying things. Like, it's very weird that you just say it's an empty sort of comment when you're just not used to it. Like, I don't know. It was a weird thing to say. And I understand to a degree because, like she's now saying, probably not a thing that you'd experience as much in the UK. And I can't say I know how it is in the US because I've never been, so I can't say like how it truly helps you. And it's not like in the UK where people are just depressing all the time, but you just won't have like, conversations with random people unless maybe you're in a gym and they're asking you how many sets you've got left, or maybe you're shopping and you're talking to the person serving you and they're just like, I don't know, just having small talk kind of thing. But that's very rare, and yeah, I mean, for some people, probably doesn't happen at all. But yeah, I mean, everyone says this, so it must be a genuine thing that you just notice so much more, where people are just more approachable and they just say nice things or just have small talk like she's saying now.
Well, in England, they're not. They're not as friendly. I'd say, obviously, in England, I think if you go up more north, the people get slowly friendlier and friendlier. But overall, people are not super friendly in England. Over here, at least in the state I'm at right now, I feel as though I could go up to anyone and ask for directions or even give them a compliment without it being weird and, like, getting judgy looks. Like, I've had people come up to me and compliment me that I don't know, never met, never spoke to, and it's genuinely so nice. I feel like there's a lot of community and, like, a strong, like, help each other out vibe over here, if that makes sense. I have a drink whilst they're doing that. I don't know if you can still hear that, but I'm just going to carry on. Next is a diverse culture. I'm not saying England doesn't have a diverse culture. It definitely does. Over here, I think I've definitely experienced more of a diverse culture than I did in England. So many different cuisines that you can easily access. In England, they do have this, but they don't have as wide of a spread and as easy of an access. Also, I've met a lot of people here from different cultures, from all around the world, and it's so fun to speak to them and learn about like their culture, where they're from, their background. In England, I did have this, but it wasn't as common.
See, this kind of depends on, is she in the US for university? Because even if you're not, I know the US is just a diverse country, but the UK, like, for example, university cities will be very diverse. Like my city, for example, it isn't necessarily a university city, where the sort of city is not necessarily built around a university, but the university has a strong sort of influence on the people in the city. In my city, you get a few Americans, to be fair. I hear American accents every so often. I don't actually go to the university, so I can't speak from experience from knowing how it is there. But just dotted around the city, you hear American accents. But you'll have people from throughout Europe, throughout East Asia. I feel like it's quite a common thing as well. I'm trying to think. And it's just a mixture of people. Like, it's just, I guess it depends what cities you're in. Some UK cities are probably not very diverse at all. I would say probably some on the southwest coast, like right at the bottom of the UK, and then right north in the UK, possibly, like, but I mean like on the border with Scotland, kind of north. But yeah, US, I just guess throughout is just more diverse in terms of the foods and stuff. UK foods, the diversity is Indian takeaway, Chinese takeaway, a few American fast food places like McDonald's, Subway and stuff, and then pub food, which is obviously going to be British food, is good. I'm not gonna lie, I like pub food. I'm not gonna complain, but that is more or less the diversity. You don't get like Mexican foods and stuff, which I guess the US, you just have those foods that I've said minus the British food, but then you have the Mexican foods, and I'm just trying to think, I guess more options for Italian foods and stuff, but just a mixture of what she's saying here.
People from all over the world, and I thought it would just be mainly people who are like born and raised in America, but there's so many different cultures and it's so cool to see. Next would be an outdoor culture. In the state we're at right now, obviously the weather helps it out, but there is a very, very big outdoor culture. Last couple months we were here, we didn't even like sit down and watch the TV, whereas that's what we do every single night in England. Get your tea, dinner, go sit down, watch a movie or something, like a series with your family, and that's it. Not really many things outside. Here, there's so many like shopping centres that are all based outside, and they obviously wouldn't be able to do that if the weather wasn't great. I know England's weather isn't on their side, but it is nice to have a more outdoor culture. Finally, I'd say that
I guess the outdoor culture, just the weather goes hand in hand. I wouldn't say there's not an outdoor culture in the UK. Like, when I grew up as a kid, I was outdoors every day. But that's just I feel like how kids were before like the whole world changed with TikTok and stuff. But outdoor culture, I mean, I know the US, like, Americans love their hiking and stuff, and I guess just because a lot more people drive in the US, your opportunities are a lot more, like, I guess your opportunities are endless in terms of you can drive. You've probably got a mountain range near you, or you've probably got a forest near you. You've probably got what are they called? The coast near you, that's what it's called, a beach. Lakes near you, like you've got just such a mixture of things that you'll have something like that near you. Even like a desert. Do people explore deserts? Probably not, but you've got that as well. You've just got loads of different things throughout different states. You have different options. In the UK, you've got beaches, but you're only going to really go to the beach if it's somewhat warm. Some people like going to the beach for like walks and stuff with their dogs, which is fair enough. But I'm trying to think of other things. You've got the Lake District in the UK, which I've never been to. The UK is small, so I could probably go, but I don't drive, and I also was never taken as a kid. Also, Scotland's beautiful. To be fair, I'll give the Scottish their flowers. They've got a beautiful scenery. But yeah, the US, you're gonna have loads more options, and I see what she's saying. But that doesn't mean everyone in the UK is a couch potato and just sits at home at night. It just depends on your circumstance and the people that you know. I feel like.
Emphasis. No idea if I'm saying that right. Completely blanked. Forgot how to say it. Let's ignore it and move on. On fitness and well-being. Over here, there are so many like facilities for these sort of things. Like there's yoga studios, Pilates studios. I cannot speak today. Cold plunge places. Like we just recently went to a cold plunge for the first time. 5 minutes down the road. So many of them.
But does she just mean like going into cold baths and stuff, or is it more than that? I don't really know what cold plunging places would be. But already, this is a big contrast. Like, some people in their experiences will say, oh, the food here is like the options are, it's all fast food and stuff. But then you've got someone like her who's saying the focus is on fitness and stuff and going outside. So that's what I mean. It just depends on your experience. If you're looking for the stuff that you're looking for, I assume you're going to find the things you're looking for, which is the convenience of the US. The UK, maybe you won't have as many fast food options or like just things that people see in a negative way. But then you'll have things like this, if you go out your way, that you can find stuff like this. But in the UK, you're not going to find cold plunge places unless you're really just trying to dig out a place in probably more of a major city. That's such a random thing to have.
That was so cool, but that's probably for another day to talk about. But yeah, we've been to like yoga, Pilates, fitness groups, like all these things for the first time because it's so widely available. In England, they have these things, but not so many facilities. They're not as big, they're not as good, they're not as widely available, and they're usually kind of a bit more expensive. Actually saying that over here, I don't know. I think it depends which ones you go to. If you go to a higher end one over here, it's going to be expensive. But overall, there's a lot more like facilities. So the farther you go inland, if you're like near coastal areas, the cheaper it will get. Really nice to have a community that cares about like the fitness and mental well-being because you can sort of connect with them over that. It motivates you, all this. Whereas in England, there's not as many people that are into that sort of stuff. So it's just nice to have that like community. There are many positives I found from living here so far.
I like this one because this is a lot of stuff that I don't think I've really heard before. And yeah, again, I guess it just comes down to your experience and what you sort of try and find for yourself. If you're trying to find things that are going to benefit you, I feel like the US is also the best place to have that because you're going to have so many options for just the most random things. This is cool. I enjoyed this. One thing many Americans don't admit or tell you, your accent gives you a leeway among many, not that they find you naive. It's just a pleasure to hear. Either you think I'm some sort of genius or you're just going to take me for some sort of dope. No in between. It's just one or the other. And I'm not a genius, that's for sure. But I have heard that accent does help a lot of Brits. But to be fair, there's probably a lot of British people in the US that they're probably just a lot more used to it now anyway. But I guess it depends where you are. Agree about the gloomy, damp and non-sunny UK weather for the majority of the time. Yeah, again, winter's coming. As a famous... Did Jon Snow say that? Winter is coming? I think Jon Snow said that. Or someone in... Game of Thrones. Who says? I think they all say winter's coming. I think Jon Snow is the one who says it the most because he's from the Night Watch. Their whole point is to fight them. Anyway, I don't know what I'm flipping waffling about. Winter is coming, and that is when it's gonna get gloomy in the UK. Right now, we've got another probably month and a half of like decent sunshine and sunlight in terms of it's not gonna get dark too early, and then bish bash bosh, we're back to typical old England. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this reaction and let me know your thoughts on this. And until next time, like, subscribe, and peace.